not equity. Okay, because equity is basically growing maybe $40,000 a year. That's what he's making as far as net profit after distributions. So how, Ron? Okay, stringing out the suppliers. That's it. I mean, that is how he's financing his growth right now. Okay, and I would also expect, because he's leaning on his payables so greatly, and his whole asset base is basically in inventory and receivables, and he's so cash poor. If I was an employee of this company, I suspect there may be times where my check didn't clear, okay, because he is so low on cash. Okay, so he's relying on the vendors. They're knocking on his door. So the answer really to this question is what's driving the financing need is sales growth, relying on vendors. I think we've got everything here as far as business issues. Anything else that you can think that's driving the financing need? Slower. Okay. Margins are being squeezed a little bit. Someone had put slower AR turn. Okay. I think the AR turns are about 60 days. We know that on certain accounts it's probably a little bit longer, probably these mom and pop accounts. Is a 60-day AR turn good?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's not bad. I mean, it depends. I mean, you can't say for sure. If I was to tell you the norm for this industry is 40 days, then I would say it's not good. If you're a law firm or you're a doctor, a 60-day AR turn is very good. Okay, so it just depends on what industry. One of the things that you guys probably gathered from going through this exercise, and we'll talk about the financing gap and whatnot, but you probably, from seeing how fast you're turning your ARs, how fast you're turning your inventory, and how fast you're turning your payables, you can clearly see the effect on financing need. And so if you can collect your ARs faster, that's a source of cash. Okay, so even if you can go from 60 to 50. If in this case, this guy could increase his AR turn from 60 days to 50 days, that's going to help out. Okay? And, so maybe he starts leaning on these mom and pop stores, and with the attitude that if they leave, they leave. Stacy?
When you consider what's the cost of hauling a mom and pop store kind of from customer monitoring versus where the profit margin is an increase from cost of business?
Okay. There's certainly going to be some increased costs, collection costs. Okay, maybe because they're small, maybe he gets bounce checks once in a while from them, so there's accounting costs. So you're right. Okay, the desire to take trade discounts, I think we've pretty much covered everything. But it's important to remember that this guy needs financing. Okay, all right. Let's look at and you can look at it up here, or if you want, you can look at the handout that you have. But we basically are expecting that in 1998. That this guy's going to do $9.6 million in sales. Okay? I believe the gross margin on it was roughly about the same. Okay, if you look at the projections. Okay, it's an 84% cost of goods sold, so 16% gross margin. We gave you a projected balance sheet. Okay, here's a projected balance sheet right here. We basically said that the ARs are still expected to turn in 60 days. The inventory, I think we told you 11.6 turns. So the way you come up with 35 days is to simply take the actual cost of goods sold, which was $8,064,000, divide it by the number of turns. That in turn will give you the number of days on average to turn the inventory. So it's a 35-day turn. Okay? Did everybody come up with that when you did your financing gap worksheets? Okay. What's that? 34, someone said? 35? Okay, close enough. Okay? So this is the projected balance sheet. Now, what's the problem with this right here? What's the problem with the way this balance sheet looks? Right here. Look in the liability section. What's that? Big note payable to the bank. Okay? That's a line of credit. Okay? That is not a term loan. That is a revolver. So in order for this guy to grow to $9.6 million, based on the way he's turning his receivables, turning his inventories, the fact that he wants to take advantage of the 2% discounts to pay within 10 days, that's his goal apparently. And I can understand that because he's going to make more money if he does that. In order to do so, with a 10-day payable turn, that means his payables are going to be at $230,000. Okay? There is only one way, folks, for him to finance his growth, and that's through a $1.7 million note to the bank in the form of a line of credit. Okay? Now, you tell me, what's conceptually wrong with that? What were the projected ARs? Projected ARs? 1.6 million. Okay? When we do an AR line, do we do 100% advance? Why not? Greg? Too risky.
Why is it risky?
Okay, quality of ARs. We don't know what they're going to be worth to us in the future. If we had to force liquidate and we went in there and because of our UCC filing, we said, guess what, folks? You owe us money. And they started saying, well, hold on a second, though. You know, he gave us some bad product. We never got a chance. You know, we put in a memo, and they never paid us back, and blah, blah, blah. So the fact is if we were to have to force their hand, we're not going to get 100% of what we advanced. So in this case, let's just say, for argument's sake, that where is it? We're going to do we're going to say 85% of the ARs are eligible, okay? Actually, I think it's here. There it is. Okay? So we're going to say 15% are ineligible. Conversely, 85% are eligible. Is it fairly normal to have 95% of the ARs eligible, would you say? With only 5% ineligible due to... Probably not. Okay? Why do you think 15% is a fairly decent number? Remember, in this case, on $1.6 million, that means that what, 240,000 is ineligible? That's not that much. Okay? What would trigger ineligible receivables? Okay, I'm sorry, what's your name? Stacy. Okay, concentrations. Okay. So what's our typical, not just us, but most banks, how do we underwrite concentrations? We allow up to a certain percentage. Okay, we allow up to 25% typically, and then if they have one customer that represents over 25% of their ARs, we do what? We throw out the difference, okay? What else would be ineligible potentially? Contra accounts, okay? Okay, basically a contra account is where somebody owes you money whom you owe money to, so the two net out. What else? Okay, delinquencies over 60 days past the normal payment terms. So if the normal payment terms are 30 days, 2 times that would be 9, so it's really 90 days plus in that case. Okay? Foreign accounts, government accounts. Why not government accounts? Okay? They don't recognize third-party assignments. Okay? There is a way to do it. Back in the 30s, I believe it was, there was someone in, and it's difficult. Some monitoring forms to fill out, but it's too costly. Okay? So the fact is, we can't enforce the government receivable if we were to go back on it. Okay? So there's a whole multitude of potential ineligible receivables. Let's just say 15% are ineligible. That basically brings us down to $1,360,000. Now we've got this little problem called advance rate. Okay? Once we've whittled out the ineligibles, we still want a buffer, don't we? Okay? So we typically, maximum advance rate is 80%. You're normally going to find a 75 to 80% advance rate. Okay? That's typical on an AR line. I've seen them lower than that. It just depends on the borrower. So let's just say that these guys qualify for the maximum advance rate of 80%. Okay, so we do that, and there's a borrowing base there of $1,088,000. That's on. This isn't even historical. This is on projected ARs. Okay, that's assuming that the company grows to $9.6 million. That's assuming. Okay, six turns, 60-day AR turn. Okay, so we're not projection lenders, right? Most of the time. I mean, there's times where we do. I just want you to think about what the potential risks are here, because what were the AR balances at the end of 97? How much? 1.2 million? Okay. So let's say you had an SCO like me who said, guess what? I don't believe. No. No, let's just say, for argument's sake, though, let's say this company didn't grow. They didn't grow to 9.6 million. You know, we may want to underwrite this loan based off historical AR levels. Okay? Or maybe we say, we think they're going to grow, but we don't think they're going to grow to 9.6. So let's say they grow to 9 million or 8.8 or whatever, and then we figure out what their projected ARs are. We could take that route if we wanted. Okay?